Hello and welcome to Leaders of the New Aeon, the harmonic resonance of stepping into your soul's calling. This is a global online conference designed to awaken, inspire, and empower the new wave of leaders to rise up and claim their purpose. Whether you're looking to become the leader of your own life or a leader in your community, you will learn through a holistic lens in this summit how to lead with grace, integrity, confidence, and resilience. I am your host, Jessica Ruby Hernandez, and I am honored to present to you today Nikki Joshi. Welcome, Nikki.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Ruby. So good to be here with you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me tell everybody about you before we dive in. Nikki Joshi is a strategy consultant turned intuitive healer who unexpectedly stumbled upon her psychic gifts on her spiritual healing journey. She is now a trauma-informed spiritual guide, coach, and energy reader who helps others reconnect with their soul using soul languages such as human design, Akashic Records, astrology, numerology, and more. She is on a mission to empower empaths and seekers with magical yet practical ways to unlock their soul magic, having experienced the power of reconnecting to her soul after burnout as a young working mom. She blends her 15 plus years of corporate consulting experience with hundreds of hours of experience channeling visual healing messages for her clients and communities from all over the world. I'm so excited to dive into this with you today, Nikki. Today, Nikki is talking to us about guiding empaths from surviving to thriving from the lens of human design and the Akashic Records. Ooh, it's juicy. I'm ready to dive in. Before that, I think I want to start with like laying some groundwork. I know I looked up some stats recently. When I think of sensitives in general, that's typically the clientele I serve as well. I'm thinking of highly sensitive people who are about 20 to 30% of the population, introverts who are about 30 to 50% of the population, and empaths who are about 20% of the population. So I'm curious, from your point of view, how would you describe empaths?
Oh, yes. Well, um, this world which I've learned this label, I think only a few years ago that existed and finally explained so many parts of me, this empath word. To me, what it means is being energetically sensitive. And I like using the word energetically sensitive over people may say, oh, you're so emotionally sensitive. You must be an empath. And I feel like that's just, labeling you in a way that paints this picture of like you'll cry at the drop of of a hat, or, like there are all these emotions that suddenly show up quickly. And I think the world makes that kind of wrong, and we feel wrong in some way for feeling so much. But to me, energetically sensitive encompasses so much more because we feel like the energy, the vibe of a room when we walk into a space. We feel the temperature of a group as they come together. Like there's so many gifts to being energetically sensitive. And yes, it can come with, oh, I feel all these feelings. And if you haven't been given the tools from a young age how to deal with all this energy, of course, it can pour out as emotion, feeling emotional or coming across as being emotionally like sensitive. So I really want to anchor on the term energetically sensitive for an empath. I'm seeing a lot of head nods from you and curious about your take on it too.
Yes, no, I love that distinction also because our society is really quick to look down upon people who are too emotional, right? So it is a great way to distinguish. Like, there's actually more to it than being very emotional. It's the energy sensitivity. That's a great way to
Mm.
put it. Thank you, thank you. Um, when let me go back to the question that I had. Okay, I I have an assumption, from talking to you a little bit
Mm.
that you are an empath as well, yes?
Yes, I am an empath, and um I think I personally labeled myself as emotionally sensitive, aka an empath, for a very long time. I didn't have the term empath. I didn't know there were books on this. I didn't know there were people trying to help empaths in different ways. And so I just considered it a trait that I had to manage somehow, meaning, oh, I'm sensitive, or I would consider myself an introvert because I didn't want to like suddenly spend time with a lot of people. I remember taking on the label of feeling shy as a kid because it's like, but now that I've spent time understanding my energetic blueprint in so many ways, I understand, oh, I just need time to read the room, feel the energy of the space and people, and then I can open up even more. But for a very long time, empath to me meant, oh, this is a part of me that I need to sequester away or suppress and put in this box and can't let out because it doesn't feel safe to, because no one knows how to handle all the emotionality, all the sensitivity, which started from my parents, really, not quite knowing how to take care of little me who felt a lot and express that.
Yes, yes, I know from my personal experience, something that comes from feeling a lot is the overwhelm and the overstimulation, which,
Yeah.
you know, brings us to kind of the theme. It sounds like you do have a personal surviving to thriving as an empath story. I'm curious if you want to share that with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, yes. I think that's as much as there were difficult points on that journey, it's brought me here to today. I can really own these spots and claim them as, oh, this like my sensitivity is my superpower, this energetic sensitivity that I bring to the table. And it was a journey to get here because just to paint a picture, like I did all the things to please my parents from an early age where it was a very conflict ridden like relationship that my parents had, and the way I learned to navigate that is, okay, I can be the peacekeeper, the peacemaker, and I'll get the good grades and I'll do all the right things so they'll feel happy and I'll feel happy, was just the way I played my part at that stage. And I think they knew that I was emotionally sensitive and energetically sensitive in many ways, but they didn't have tools even for their emotional sides of themselves, which I think led to all the conflict that I experienced. And so I didn't have the tools. So it was again back to this expression I keep saying of putting all my emotions in a box and setting it aside and learning to be strong and learning to be good and doing all the right things, checking the boxes, got me to a place where, okay, I have the like perfect job, married to like college sweetheart, have a kid, have a home. I'm here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and it was doing all the right things, I thought, but I was feeling so like more and more empty inside. Like I've done all this, and yet still I'm struggling each day to fall asleep because I have so many things to do, not able to take care of myself. Like the only way I was able to decompress is, okay, by midnight, I've managed to put my daughter to bed, finished a few hours of work that was there, and now I'm going to just stay up and like doom scroll or something just to feel like I spend time with me because I never spend time with me. I never prioritize me. The the feeling I always had is because I was so emotionally sensitive that, oh, okay, I feel better if others around me feel better. So let me prioritize taking care of everyone else around me, which after a point you can do so much of. I did that with my parents. I did that with my job. I did that with my husband. And then I had a kid. And then it all started to implode very quickly because I was completely out of capacity to take care of everyone else when I was trying to take care of this little one who, of course, manifested a child who mirrored so much back to me about being super sensitive and very clear about her emotional state in a way that I didn't. As a child, I learned to put it in a box. She's like, my box is open. Here, take it. So, yeah, painting a picture of that time. And while it was very hard in the moment where I realized like I can't keep living like this. I can't keep staying up all night, getting up early in the morning, taking care of work, taking care of everyone else, and just having fragments of the day for myself. It really started to show. And I started to, all right, how do I shift this? How do I change this? And so I finally started to make decisions for me and only me, which look like, oh, I used to listen to this podcast by one of my favorite coaches, Christine Hassler, and she was offering a retreat. And like, I'm going to take 3 days and go to this retreat. And it was a huge decision because it meant I'm going to take time off from work. I'm going to leave my like 1.5-year-old with my husband and trust everything will be okay. Again, for many, the empath parts of me are like, I thrive on taking care of others. And here I am saying no to that part and saying yes to other parts of me. It was a big shift, but recognizing that I couldn't keep serving my empath parts by sacrificing every other part of me. It was a huge learning and a turning point for me when I finally understood that. I'm pausing because I see all the like signs of recognition from you.
Yeah, yeah. I was like writing down what you said, that you couldn't keep serving your empath part by ignoring the other parts. You
Yeah.
realized it really wasn't serving you as a whole, and that's like what a huge light bulb moment. And oh yeah, I've had my own version of that.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
And
Yeah.
as you mentioned, your daughter being such a mirror,
Hmm.
it's like you're gonna face this now. You're gonna
Yes.
learn how to take care of yourself as an empath now.
Yes, absolutely. Um, yeah, definitely divine soul contract that we signed for me to awaken in this way. I get that. But in the moment, it just looked like, oh my God, my life, like I did all these things and nothing seems to be working. But this is, I think, the initial part of starting to switch from being in the surviving mode to starting to thrive was making these little decisions for me, and more parts of me was going for this retreat, was going for, okay, I'm going to start to figure out a career that is not my high stress consulting job, which meant like, oh, let me explore coaching on the side. Let me do this course on the side. And it was these little things that you would think most people would look at me like, you have a small kid, you have a busy job, like just focus on that and get some rest. And this is back to this theme of, I love the theme of the summit around soul calling. Like I could feel this urge and this pull from within, like something's not right. Like this is not what I was meant to spend time on. It that feeling became more and more acute once I had my daughter and had all this time during maternity leave where I'm just like sitting and nursing her in the middle of the night. And like you're so consumed by spending time with a little one and with yourself and being more in my body than I ever was before. I spent a lot of decades being completely dissociated from my needs and my body. It's like, I can push through, I can work late, I can do all these things. I can be superwoman, sure, and I can. But I'm completely ignoring emotions that needed tending to. I would label like old trauma and pain that I had not addressed for so long. Like there were needs that I suppressed as a child and never even knew what they were. I remember being at this retreat I mentioned, and somewhere they were talking about feeling shame. And I remember sitting in the audience and like, I don't think I'm ashamed about any part of me. And I was like, I really could not even trace the feeling of shame in my body because I was just so disconnected from, like, I was just living a superficial version of myself because I prioritized what made sense and looked good on the outside and nothing about how I felt on the inside. And so it was this huge shift of how do I start to look at what am I feeling inside? And how can I start to take care of that and service that need that's showing up in the moment? So, yeah, I started to take all these little steps and they all added up and took me around on these like random twists and turns. And here I am today, a very different version of me, but a much more fulfilled and definitely thriving version of me.
I love that. And I think that's a good thing for people to hear that it was a series of tiny baby steps, right? Sure, you can go 180 and take massive steps of change, and it doesn't require that. If all you have capacity for is a baby step here and there, to start to listen to your soul's urges, to step closer to what feels like your soul calling. So yeah, that's great to hear in a practical way of how that was for you, of just following
Um,
the tiny urges, the tiny steps. And you mentioned taking like little trainings here and there, and I'm wondering, is that where you discovered human design and Akashic Records? Like,
yes.
how did they come in? I'm curious.
Yes, yes. Actually, this background, which we were talking about right before we hit record, is in Costa Rica, which is where actually that's me in the background, where I got certified as a human design reader. And so I was painting this picture of being in survival mode. This was 2019, 2020. And this is right on the cusp of like the world shutting down. And so I was just starting to like, oh, express parts of me and think about who should I be and what should I do, and explored coaching, as I mentioned. And the world completely shut down. And I'm like, oh my goodness, now what do I do? I'm like at home with a kid, with no childcare, with a working husband too. And it just like further deepened the hole that I had dug for myself. And that was really truly this point where, like, yes, we have to make big decisions to change. I took time off from work, like a sabbatical, if you will. And at this point, I started to look for, okay, coaching courses, like trainings. What can I do to really hone skill sets that I didn't even think you could be paid for? Like holding space for another, like understanding another person's emotional state. I didn't even really consider in my mental model of the world. It was like, you study all these things, you make money in this way, and that was it. And I just forced myself to fit that archetype. But this was a time where I'm like, no, let me trust and listen to what do I really enjoy? What did I enjoy? I enjoyed coaching people at work the most. Yes, I can make an amazing PowerPoint deck and like present and all the fun things that come with consulting, but really I enjoyed the people aspect of it a lot. And human design came into my life right around that point through a podcast, through a talk, just like this, actually, in some ways, where um, I was listening to this human design reader describe the host of the podcast using the language of human design, which, if you're not familiar with it, for those of you who are new to human design, it's really using your birth time and date and place. Similar to astrology, but also different from astrology. It pulls up, instead of a chart of planetary placements in the sky, it pulls up a map of all your energy centers or chakras, whichever word you're more familiar with. And so you can actually see all your energy centers on this map. And it's got all these colors and all these numbers. It looks like a lot. And I remember feeling like, what is this? When I finally looked at a picture of my own human design. But hearing the reader speak to the host of the podcast, like the thing that struck me the most is how much he was able to describe that person at an energetic level. Like, this is who you are. This is how you're designed to operate through the world. These are places where you might feel different from most people around you. These are places where you're energetically sensitive, back to that empath language we talked about at the beginning, and you're very open and receptive to other people's energy. I'm covered in chills as I say this. Like, to me, it gave a blueprint and very specific language, and I think appealed to the analytical part of me. So the consulting brain kicked in, where I'm like, oh, there are these numbers and these colors, and I can actually like track this on a map, but still speaks to who we are and how we are uniquely designed. And so that really like spoke to me in a deep way, which led to many, many more steps. But I'm curious, Ruby, that like speaks to you in terms of you dabbling in human design in different ways. Any questions that come up there before I keep talking?
Oh, I feel like we could have a whole nother talk just on human design for sure. But But it is the little bit I've looked into it, it is fascinating. Just like you said, it's like here's how you present in the world. Here's your energetic sensitivities that are turned on and turned off, or
Right.
exist or don't exist. So it is. I mean, I love all these types of things that help me understand myself better. So to me, like you said, it's very comprehensive and even maybe even on an analytical level, look at myself on a map. So
Mhm.
yes, I'm right there with you. I don't know if I want to answer any questions because I think I would derail it to only talking about human design, and I know there's more to talk about than that.
Yeah, I feel you so much. But the thing I'll add here that I hope people can take away around human design is, to me, human design is really this tool of self-acceptance
Mm.
where you really get to like meet parts of you back to I had sequestered and boxed away parts of myself in my journey as an empath just because it felt like too much to me. Some of these parts felt like too much to my caregivers, my parents. And when I met human design and it met me and showed me, it was really this map of all of these parts. Oh, you have these energetic gifts, and gifts, just like any strength, can come with what we may understand in the corporate world as like an area of opportunity or a weakness, but really it's just showing you the highest and lowest expression of energy that you were imprinted with when you were born. And 80 days before you were born, it's all laid out for you to discover, just like this treasure map that you can look through. And it's complex and a lot of information, but I feel like for when you meet human design and start to explore it, it gives you exactly what you need. Like, here's this part of you. Do you understand that you're designed to have this emotional wave, irrespective of what's going on around you? And just hearing that was like such a relief. Like, oh, that just makes sense. I'm an emotional being. It tells me that, and it gives me tools. How do I work with that emotionality?
Yes, yes. So I'm thinking now as we tie this into our theme here, this would be something wonderful for anybody starting to answer their soul's calling to have as a roadmap. I love how you called it like a treasure map to your soul's calling, perhaps. Yeah?
I love that language. My goodness. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, so much.
Yeah. So it, besides that, is there anything that you would speak to in terms of how, especially an empath, we're talking about empaths here, but anybody again stepping on their soul's calling, why you would recommend them learning about their human design?
Yeah, there's a few parts, there's plenty, but I think just to select what really stands out to me that is so supportive for empaths. One is understanding this energetic sensitivity or openness as it shows up in your chart. And so human design talks about 9 energy centers that we have, which may sound different if you're familiar with the chakra system and 7 energy centers. Human design says that we've evolved into being 9 centered beings and are actually on track to becoming 11 centered beings with even our hand chakras activated. So I'm very excited for that when that's online. Um, and looking at that map, if you will, it's called a body graph. You can see there are some energy centers that will be colored in and some that will be white or open. And wherever you see a white center, and if this all feels like Greek and Latin right now, don't worry, I will be sharing a gift with you all that Ruby will like link to and more that will explain this for you all for free. But just track with me as I'm describing this visually. Like you'll see this contrast in your chart of like some energy centers like your head or your throat are colored in, but then you have the center in your heart space that's like it's called self or G center, which is really your center of identity, and it could be wide open and all white in color. And what that means, just as an example, is that you're designed to be very fluid in terms of your identity and your life path. Like, I'm here to experience this buffet of different identities. And depending on the community I'm in, I could be a painter in this artist group, and I'm here in a book club, and I'm all about books in this space. And then going to a different space. And here I am taking on this identity of like being spiritual and into meditation. You're so influenced by the groups that you're around, which this is where when you have that openness, it can lead to conditioning by society. Like you must know your life path, you must know who you are. And people who have that kind of openness, it's actually so in alignment for you to be fluid around that. It may change from season to season, it might change from year to year or decade to decade in your life. And that's perfectly okay, which is why I keep calling human design this tool of self acceptance, because you get to see where you define in a way that you're here to bring a fixed energy to other people, and where you're designed to receive all kinds of energy from the world and experience all flavors of it.
I love that. Yes, you repeated, which I didn't catch earlier. Well, I didn't catch it. I didn't type it earlier, but I typed it this time. Being a tool of self acceptance. I can imagine feeling so validated if
Yes.
this one example you shared of somebody who's like, I don't know the one thing I want to do with my life, and to find out, oh, well, that's because this center is open and I'm not meant to do one thing in my life. What a relief of the societal
Mhm.
pressures, the burden of carrying that around, and maybe even feeling like a failure, or whatever, negative interpretation.
Definitely.
Um, yeah, that in itself would would make me want to get my human design read. Yeah.
Yes. And this is what got me to get my own human design read, my family's human design read, because it's a tool to understand how we all energetically interact with each other. And so to me, that's one, is just understanding this contrast, the polarity or the parts we have within ourselves and how they can be so different from another, because we just kind of look at another person and assume we might be similar to them. But no, we're designed so uniquely and so differently. I think the two other parts I want to speak to, one is around emotions, because I think this is a thing that empaths can very much associate themselves with, is like feeling a lot of feelings and emotions, and not only their own, but others around them. And there is a specific center in your human design chart called the emotional solar plexus, which is considered the seat of your emotions. If you look at it on a graph, I don't want to make this technical and share a screen, but really you'll see a triangle on the right side of your chart. And if that's what to me, like what stands out the most to me is whether that's colored in or is completely open. To me, human design always tells how we're all meant to feel into emotions in a big way. Like as a species, we are designed to feel these ups and downs, because that's actually, I feel like, a big part of the language of our soul and how we feel energetically into each other. Some of us are white and open, and we're here to feel everyone else's feelings, can easily amplify it, like empty vessels make much noise. Like you are this vessel, you are receiving emotions. And if you don't have the tools to clear that and release those emotions that you may have picked up across your day, being in different places, even like the grocery store, even, you just might feel all these emotions like, where did this come from? Why do I feel this way? And it just might be you holding on to the emotionality of all the other people that you spent your time with. And you might feel it like a 9 on 10 when that person was like, I was like a 6 on 10 in terms of how I was feeling today, in terms of feeling sad or heavy. So there are people who may be like that and definitely would label themselves as empath. I know so many people who I've read for or in my world who would say that. But I have that center defined, and yet I would call myself an empath too, because I come in with this emotional wave that can just show up. It doesn't matter. It's not triggered by my daughter or like something going on in the world. It's just there. It's going, it's just, I wake up on the wrong side of bed, and that's just my emotional wave that's showing up. And there could be one of four kinds of waves we have when that center is colored in. And each of them has a unique way of how do you work with that wave? How do you spend? And I think one thing I'll offer is many times human designs like spend time on your own, be with the energy of your emotional wave, almost like a muse for an artist, like just being with its energy and let it pass through, and it'll go by so much faster. So that was the second thing I wanted to share from there.
I wanna go on a small tangent with that,
Yeah.
because I've been curious. I pulled up my chart. I've had my chart done.
Oh, great. Awesome.
I'm an emotional manifesting generator. It says react later with emotional clarity, and I do have that center defined. And I consider myself an empath. And I think the question I have, which I think you're great to answer because you have the analytical career background and now you have a very intuitive type of career going on,
Yes.
is I've been judged so hard for making decisions with emotions
Mm.
rather than logic. And do you want to speak to that? Yeah,
Oh,
because
absolutely.
it's like okay, it's here in my chart that says this is normal and natural for me, and it doesn't need to be made wrong by people who only believe in logic. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to know what you would say about that.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Also, an emotional manifesting generator here, by the way. Hello.
Awesome.
Love this. So just realizing that overlap and the way I speak to this in terms of making decisions, this is the thing human design is so well designed to speak to and support empaths and all people with is making decisions from an energetic place. When you are emotionally defined, your emotions can color how you feel about a certain decision. And that's not a bad thing. You actually get to experience, oh, I'm deciding whether I move to this new place. And you get to feel into that decision when you're experiencing an emotional high. Like after this interview, I will totally be riding a high. And if I was feeling into that decision, I'd be like, oh my God, yes, of course. Like I'm just so happy and excited. And maybe a few days later, I'm experiencing a low and I get to feel into the decision. And I'm saying this as me, but you can very much use the same tool because you have the same human design from an emotional standpoint. And you feel like, does this decision make me happy? And you get to feel in all parts of this wave when you're at a high or a low. Does this decision make me happy? um, the gift of time is very important when you have an emotional wave because that again your emotions are coloring your truth around this, and so seeing if the high is skewing you in one way but is the low skewing you in a different direction, and so you want to come back to this place of neutrality and say, oh, this still makes me happy even if I'm having a pretty okay day, and if it does, then that's your yes to proceed and go ahead. And I recommend like at least 24 hours. Always saying like, I'll get back to you on that is such a great tool for an emotional, any energy type, but having that emotional center defined or up to a week, like taking all the time you need, because your emotional state will always color how you feel. And just knowing that temperature check, if you will, is very important into feeling big decisions. So I
Thank
want to see how this lands with you.
Yeah, thank you for, yeah, you just described my process. I have to sit with something and feel into the emotions
Mm.
of it. How does this feel to try it on? And now I understand more. Like I've got to clear the wave of maybe external factors, the emotional wave by external
Yes,
factors to really get in touch with my true emotions about it.
yes, yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just because you have this inherent wave that can come in. I haven't seen a good theory in human design around it. To me, it's a combination of astrology, maybe like collective consciousness. I don't know what brings up that wave fully yet. One day I hope to have that answer. But you have an emotionally defined wave that's just going to show up, and you don't want to let that wave tell you like, I don't want to do that, because it just might be that wave of that day, but it's giving you information and it's telling you, oh, even in this state I still want to do it. Okay, I'll see how I feel tomorrow. Tomorrow I feel great, I still want to do it. Okay, maybe I'll give myself a third day, and you sit with it. So I love that that's intuitively already your process. I feel like you've already felt into your human design decision making approach.
Yes, yes, and it's valid to all the people who argue logic is the only way to make decisions.
Oh, I'm 100% like channeling plus human design has really shown me that Like human design is inviting us to use our body rather than like the limited energy of our mind. I always see it as this, you're trying to like use this narrow like energy center to make a decision when you could use all of these energy centers, your full body, which is so intelligent.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. So I'm thinking back to, tying this into somebody stepping into leadership, even if it's just self-leading yourself towards your soul's calling. If you're emotionally defined, or if you're an emotional whatever,
Mhm.
this is the process you need to master. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. You want to make decisions from the right place.
definitely. And I think this is what creates a lot of inner trust and stability for empaths, which I think is so important when you're feeling into your soul's calling, because it's very unseen, it's energetic, like it's this thing that suddenly shows up in your field. Um, my personal experience around being an empath has been it feels unstable almost because I tended to prioritize other people around me. And so I never spent time like developing my core and knowing who I am. Like I knew key parts, but it was always based on what other people needed. And so to take the time to like like I hear the word almost like intimacy, like getting to know these parts of me that are emotionally sensitive, that need time to make a decision. I'm like, oh, I need to respond quickly to this email. I need to say yes. I'm in consulting. How can I say no to a client? And then all of this started to make me go back and reconfigure how I approached life and taking more parts of me along for the journey, which made me happier at the end of the day, so much more integrated within me.
Yes, yes, I love that. I love that so much. Well, thank you for going on that little tangent with me.
Okay, I'm so glad you brought it in.
Yes. So when I popped in with that, I think you're about to share a third. Um,
Yes. What an amazing facilitator to track the third one. Yes, I can bring in the third one. So to me, the third thing you can get from human design as it relates to your soul's calling is what's called your incarnation cross. It's really your energetic purpose as described by human design. It's not going to tell you if like you're designed to be like a builder or an engineer or something like that, but it's much more the energetic purpose. And it's really a combination of your top four energetic gifts. They're called gates in human design, and that makes up your incarnation cross. So, in fact, when you generate the chart on my site, it will give you a small blurb on that incarnation cross for you. And then you can dive so much deeper into the gates. You can get a reading to learn more about what is that energy. But to me, it's like a great window of, I'll give you a practical example with my own. My incarnation cross is the left angle cross of informing. And so it's very aligned for me to use my voice to be sharing information with my community. And so I'm very much living into that purpose right now with you all by sharing about human design and the Akashic Records and how I've navigated my path from surviving to thriving is me bringing in information that's really speaking to me that I know will be valuable to the community around me. And so, in the same way, you get to learn about your incarnation cross. There are like 192 of them. There's a lot of options.
yeah.
And so just we're again back to we're all designed uniquely, and you get to experience the path that your soul chose in some level for this lifetime. That's what I believe.
That's so intriguing. Yeah, I see the name of mine, but I don't know what it means. So
Oh,
I want to do this with you now.
yes, yes. Oh, happy to do the deep dive. There so much. Again, it's like a lifetime of exploration. I would treat your human design chart as a treasure map because it can be easy to go into the, oh my God, there's so much to learn. And I'm like, the right information will present itself at the right time. You'll feel the call to get a reading or receive a report or you chat with someone who has a similar design. Like it will happen in the right way for you. Again, back to listening to your strategy and authority, which is making decisions using your human design. That's how you get in alignment with your human design and magnetize your most aligned life, even your soul calling towards you.
Beautiful, beautiful. What an amazing tool. Yeah,
Hmm. Yes,
nice,
yes. I will say it's quite amazing for me to see even someone like my husband, I use often as this example of a very logical human being who's not super into energy and the terms that we use in this space, but still resonated so much with his human design and even like cites things from his human design that I've shared with him. Like one of these days, he was talking with his mom, like my mom-in-law, and actually talked about his purpose as described in human design. My goodness, this is amazing that you carried that from the reading. So, yes.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, that is great for people who don't feel connected to their purpose yet, or they haven't got a clue what it is, to be able to have these little guideposts, these little signposts to point you to it. What a gift.
Mhm. Very much.
Which, speaking of, do you feel ready to transition to Akashic Records?
I
Because
think I do.
okay, yeah, because that's a whole nother way of pointing to why we're here and what our purpose is. Um,
Yes. My goodness. Yes. Yes. And you know so much because you've also been trained in the Akashic Records, as I learned before we hopped on.
Yes, yes, it's so fascinating and so much fun to discover and help people discover. But I'm curious, how has Akashic Records informed your journey as an empath from surviving, struggling, just surviving to thriving?
Yes, yes. To me, so the Akashic Records, I had heard of the term before through random online searches from long ago. And I remember actually thinking, I found the page of an Akashic Record reader circa 2005, I think. This is like long ago. And I was like, oh, this person must be so cool and so gifted that they can read the Akashic records. Like that was my thought. And then I skipped away from the page, is all I did. And here I am now saying, oh, I can read from the Akashic records. So I want to offer what the Akashic records is and how it can be so supportive. To me, the Akashic Records is this energetic home and library or database of your soul. It contains all of your soul's history. If you believe in the concept of multiple lives, past lives, and parallel lives, all of that information is embedded in there. And just like if you can go on Google and search for information, you can do the same thing. You can plug into the Akashic Records through meditation, through some kind of energetic practice that creates that, like just like you tune a radio, you're dialing into the station and you're connected into the Akashic records. You can download that information and learn more about yourself. To me, the Akashic records also represents a lot of the energy of our present life. Like everything's recorded in there. Think of it as like live transcription of your life is happening, and also all future possibilities. So to me, it's a very magical space to connect one with the energy of your soul and who you truly are, unencumbered by messaging from this world and heaviness of this 3D contrast filled plane. Like that is just like, this is you and this is all of you, and you get to plug into that energy. It's very special. I also find like there's a lot of energy of unconditional love, like back to this energy of self acceptance that I described with human design. That's just like immense love and support that you feel there. Because I do believe that there are guides, as I call it, or unseen energies that walk with us. You may call them universe, God, whatever may be your higher power. I feel like it's an extra amplified connection when you plug into the Akashic records. Many teachers use many different languages around it. This is what I've felt into over time from connecting with the records. And then there's so much more, like you can heal within the records because there's pain, there's trauma from past lives that we might be carrying over into this lifetime. You can access that through inner child healing and so many other modalities that exist too. But if you feel very connected to exploring your past lives, I feel like that's a sign that you want to go back and do some okay, I'm here to feel energetically into as many parts of me. I want to go into my records and also do some healing, clearing, and reclaiming of gifts that I had in those lifetimes.
I love that. I love your description of the Akashic Records. And personally, I have only gotten to the point of reading them. The ability to do healing, that's fascinating to me. I'm not there yet. So that's really cool to know.
Yeah, there's so much. I feel like different practitioners, authors do so many things. I've been on a very like self initiated journey. Like I learned a bit from some people, but everything else has been, oh, I go in or I go in with a client and something new happens. And like, oh, okay, this happens here too. This is really amazing to learn. Uh, yeah,
That's uh, that's so cool. And what are, I guess I know, but for the audience to hear, what are the different things that people can learn from their Akashic records that might help them answer their soul's calling, for example?
yeah. I think to me, first and foremost, before even in within the records, to me personally, the Akashic records and practicing connecting with the records was a way to practice tuning into my intuition, my energetic sensitivity in a way that I can tap into this unseen energy. And I feel like that is such a grounding, stabilizing thing for an empath because I feel like one of the things that we're doing as empaths is like we're like this antenna feeling into all this energy all around. And it's like, I don't quite know how to control this antenna. And so I make the antenna wrong for picking up all the static. And it's like the way for me to practice, like, okay, I'll go into the records, nothing's happening, but I at least meditated. Even meditation and visualization, to me, all of these were baby steps to get to connecting to the Akashic records. And that I think really fine tuned this antenna and helped me create boundaries around the antenna. Like, I don't need to tune into the whole world all the time. Like, I can, like, tune into my own energy and use my empath superpowers on me and tune into my energy within the records. Like to me, that is the number one thing I feel around the Akashic records is like practicing your intuition. And that is going to help in so many aspects of your life as an empath. Because hey, now you get to tune into your soul calling just using your intuition. What a gift.
And that's such a good point to bring up for empaths, sensitives in general, that we are so attuned outside of ourselves. It is effort to tune inward, and most of us don't do it. And it takes intention. And so you're saying, like, are you saying, would you suggest for empaths to learn to read their own, or
Absolutely.
that's
Yes.
the lesson that you pulled through of like, hey, connect inward first?
Yes, absolutely. It may look different for different people. Just like you said, you do reading in the Akashic records, healing. People might open up the Akashic records and want to journal. People might open up the Akashic records and want to pull oracle cards or tarot cards. Like we all may have a different way that we tune in best for ourselves. So I just want to recommend to everyone, it won't look like back to, we're all designed uniquely. So it may look different for each and every one of us. But I do think the just the endeavor of like, oh, if this piques your curiosity and awakens something within you, listen to that call and follow those nudges. Like you can sign up for a course or you can even tune into a meditation online. Like, okay, let me practice opening up the records using a guided meditation and just see what happens. Um, to me, that's really listening to this part of you that's, I think, always connecting energetically. And just, I feel like it's focusing all that energy in a way. And your Akashic Records is you. So back to tuning into you, just like you said.
I love it. Yeah, yeah. That's some. I mean, that's some really good practical advice for empaths, especially. And I'm curious in your channelings in the Akashic records, besides that wonderful piece of advice, which it's not that we have to have more, but is there any other practical advice you've received through your Akashic channelings?
Yes. Yeah. A few come to mind. I think they're all energy. practices of different kinds. Um, to me, I wanted to pick like the easiest and most accessible one, and it's also really playful and fun, so I want to share that. I think we as empaths many times will end up in situations where we feel a lot of intense energy from someone else. It could be a situation, a person, a project, whatever it might be. Um, Something that really overwhelms your nervous system. Again, your very fine-tuned, sensitive nervous system. And yes, there are tools like you can step away from the situation, you can breathe, you can ground. But I really love this practice that came through in the Akashic Records, and I'd never considered it before, which is rather than moving your energy away and protecting it and grounding it, why not put a container of some sort playfully on the situation itself? It almost looked like a energy bubble or a jar almost on the other person, other thing. Again, it's not like you're doing this with the intention of blocking or suppressing the energy. It's much more creating distance and separation for your energy to be intact and protected. And so many of us empaths, I believe, based on all the people I've met in my world, can like kind of like we're trying to retract our energy in order to make other people comfortable because it's like we actually have really big energy. Like we're here to be such powerful receptors of energy. We can receive in so many ways. We can take up so much space. It may not look loud or big in the conventional sense, but we take up a lot of energetic space. So why do we retract and contain our energy? Rather contain that situation, and to me, it's just like a visual, playful practice. Like before you go to a meeting or before you go to a big party or event, and there's this one loud, obnoxious person that you can't quite seem to get away from. Like, can you just imagine them in their own bubble such that you don't have to deal with that energy? I was like, I never considered that.
I have not considered that either. That's beautiful. That's like kind of feels more offensive rather than defensive, right? A little more
Yes,
empowering of no, you keep your stuff over there.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So wanted to share that because I think the Akashic Records can help you tune into your intuition to like give you the right energetic practices to feel more in alignment and in flow with your energy. It's like this is the right step for you to deal with the energy going on in your life, and that just creates so much more ease and flow and less friction. And then I think that's what will then allow and empower empaths to receive more, because I think this is where, when you brought up this topic, Ruby, at the start, and I was feeling into it, it's like, oh, like we're in such a different world. Like all the statistics you talked about, like 20-30% of us, it's the world is not designed for us. It feels so intense and loud and energetically so much. Like I can barely handle like long distance travel and flights and a new space. I'm like, oh my goodness, I've tried all the grounding and the crystals and the everything, and I'm still feeling so much, and it's just not set up for us. And to me, the more that we can find our practices, our gifts, and like tune into us more, like the more we can enjoy ourselves, because I think that's what we came here to do as souls.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you for sharing those examples. I have a request.
Yes,
Would you be willing to do a live collective Akashic Records channeling for us right now?
I would be more than happy to. Yes.
Fabulous.
Yes, it'll be extra special since we've got all these beautiful empaths here. We're so open and receptive. Like, I think the energy will be special. So, yes.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Right. Well, I'll invite everyone to take a moment if they need to settle, set up their space, get water, whatever they need to. I'm going to take a sip of water before we begin as well. So the way this will flow, just to orient you, I generally like to do a brief like meditation or grounding practice, last for up to 5 minutes. And then after that, I'll open up the Akashic Records, which I do with a prayer that I've channeled from the records. It's think of it as a vibrational keys. Once I say that, I trust that I'm tuned into the radio station of the Akashic Records. And then usually there may be a message or a visual to describe whatever comes through. I'll let that come through me. You're also welcome to be in your own practice, meaning if you need to pause because you're receiving so much, know that you can always come back and tune into what came through me. But this is also a great opportunity for you to tune into your energy, your practice of connecting to the records. And at some point, it'll be clear I'm setting the intention for us to spend 10 to 15 minutes, and then we close with a short prayer at the end. And I'm saying a thumbs up. So this feels good to you too. That's great.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. I'm just going to pull up my prayer on the side here, especially when I get to a meditative state. It's nice to have a visual cue so I don't lose track of what I'm saying. All right. I think I'm ready. Are you? Okay. All right. So I invite you now to gently close your eyes and start to tune your attention inward, taking note of your heart space, maybe even placing a hand on your heart and starting to breathe with intention. Inhaling now through your nose, filling up your belly and heart space, and exhaling out through your mouth, letting your shoulders soften, letting your body relax. We'll inhale 2 more times this way. In through your nose and out through your mouth. Letting yourself feel even more settled in the space you're in. And with this last breath now together, inhaling and exhaling, lengthening that exhale and letting go of any stress, any tension, any energy that you may have picked up during your day. Now is a beautiful time to let go of that and starting to feel all of this tension and stress melt down into an energetic puddle of imaginary water that looks like a silvery puddle at the base of your feet. And just trusting and using the power of your imagination to let that puddle just drip down through the floor or the surface beneath you, deep into Mother Earth. And as the silvery puddle of energy that no longer serves you travels down, deep down, Mother Earth is here to receive and help transmute and reclaim this energy and shift it for you. Start to take your attention now through all the many layers of the earth below, just visually traveling from the base of your feet, from the seat to the floor, to all the many layers of the earth with rock, crystals, roots of so many trees that are interconnected, and reaching the crystalline core of Mother Earth. Whatever colors show up here, note that and receive that for yourself. And starting to visualize and imagine these energetic roots, they look like soft, silvery white tendrils emerging now from the core of the earth. They're actually taking a moment to drift into a beautiful lake. As you can imagine, a body of water, healing, supportive, energetic water. These roots are drinking that energy and starting to grow back through all the layers that you traverse and up, up, up so high, reaching the base of your feet, the parts of your body that are touching the surface, that your body is resting on. Let this energy pour into your body, into all parts of you, and awaken you. Letting this light, this love of Mother Earth lift you and engulf you with so much support. I invite you to take your attention now from your feet up into your heart space and next into your crown, letting this energy of love from the earth, of support from the earth, travel up through the top of your head and reach for the sky to all the many realms above of unseen energies that are always sending us support and love. Feel into this connection. Start to feel into a shower. You are disconnected from the earth below to the realms above. Feel into this receptive channel that you are and feel that energy flow within you. Breathing here and letting that flow travel from the earth below to the sky above and the shimmering sparkles that are raining down onto your skin, letting that tingle and reach the earth below again. You're so connected and so receptive, and feel into all that you've created with the power of your imagination and your energy now. And with that, I'll take a moment now to say a prayer to open up the Akashic Records. Of the light we see all around us, trust that you can connect deeply within. Trust that you can connect deeply throughout, and trust that you can connect deeply above and below. This is the path to connect. Connect to the space above, the ground below, and all the energy and beings that you channel through at this time. This is the way. This is the space. This is the energy that you feel. Trust and connect and let it all be revealed. Set aside yourself, set aside your doubts, set aside any concern. Let yourself feel the energy of unconditional love. This is the magic, this is the beauty. This is the essence of the records. Trust that you are within them, part of them, one with them, now and always and forevermore. Say this prayer and all will be revealed. Past, now, and all future possibilities. Say this prayer, say these words, and trust that you are delivered to the doorstep to love. Deep connection of knowing and understanding who you truly are. This is the space. Welcome. The Akashic Records are now open. And take a moment now to just attune to the space. Just feeling the love and the magic, whatever is showing up for you. Maybe it's a sensation, a visual, a thought. I invite you to be in your own practice of feeling into this beautiful space that is the Akashic Records. And I'm just feeling into all the energy here myself. We are so connected, and it is showing up in a very strong, supportive, loving space. That is the records that are here now. And remember to stay in your practice, but I'm going to tune into a message that we're all here to receive. And you can listen at your own pace, at your own time. I feel like the guides that I'm tuning into wish to speak, and so I'm going to let them speak through me and see what they have to say. Listen, listen, hear us say, hear us. We're here today to tell you, to show you, to help you understand that it's not you, it's not only you who feels this way, feels this deep energetic sensitivity. I'm just taking a moment to pause them and describe. I feel this. It's like this intense sensation all over my skin almost of how much we feel. And they're saying, like, you feel so deeply. And many of you have made that sensation wrong, that this that you feel so deeply is a sign that something around you is not right, something around you must be wrong. And many of you have taken on this messaging that, oh, like, why are you so sensitive? Why are you taking this on? Can't you be like everyone else? And we're here to say and tell you no, no. You have chosen, you were chosen, you are chosen, you chose to be this way, for this is a way to tune into so much around you. There is so much energy to receive, and they are all here to support you. It's not here to be threatening or frightening, and we understand that it may have felt that way at some point a long time ago when you were young and you couldn't quite tune in and hear us. So we've come to remind you and tell you and remind all parts of you that it is okay to feel this way. It is okay. Let yourself feel. Let yourself feel this intensity, even the energy that might feel oh so intense right now. Can you feel the good that's coming off that? Can you see that it could also be a good thing? Does this feel good in your body to receive? Perhaps that is a shift for you. So we want you to notice and acknowledge that feeling in your body right here, right now. For it is a memory, it is an imprint that you can take. And when you take these memories and these imprints, you get to shift and not only shift this experience for yourself, but all those around you who connect to you, for you are so connected. You are this, they're showing me a visual, so I'm pausing them of if you've seen this like ball of electricity with all of these like streams of electricity like spinning all around, they're showing me that we're all like this. We're so connected to all those around us. And so they get to receive, they get to heal in so many ways. When you experience a shift in your perspective, in your consciousness, in your understanding, it not only shifts you in a massive, huge way, but it shifts everyone around you because you amplify energy. That is but a given, for you are so energetically powerful. And so we want this experience to be this reminder for you to know and feel how powerful you can be just by feeling, just by noticing and acknowledging this feeling. There is so much that you can shift. So remember this and acknowledge this and take this into your day. And we thank you for listening and we thank you for receiving. I'm just taking a moment because I feel like their energy has slowed down as I'm integrating that message and giving you all space to integrate whatever came through for you as well. Let's take a moment to breathe. I'm just feeling the call to also say that if there was something in this experience that really moved you, even just noticing, like if you could craft a statement around how you felt and what that made you feel and what that made you think about yourself, can you acknowledge that statement right now for yourself? Can you capture that? Even a mental reminder to note it down for yourself later. But I feel like the guides are reinforcing that they want us to take the memory and the imprint of this time into our day, for it's an experience that can shift so much for us and all those around us. And just taking a moment to feel a lot of gratitude for the guides and, as I call, the energies I work with. And you're welcome to do the same in your own way, in your own practice. I'm going to use a few lines to close up the records and then we'll take some time to feel into how this experience was for you all. I thank the magic of the space. I thank all the energies and beings that I channeled through at this time. give gratitude to everything that came through. The records are now closed. The records are now closed. The records are now closed. And so it is with love and gratitude. Thank you. Inviting you in now to just breathe one last time. We traversed a lot energetically together. So just finding sensation in your body, bringing yourself back through and to the 3D world that your physical body is situated in. Maybe wiggling your toes, moving your shoulders or your hands, maybe gently moving your neck. And at your own pace and time, opening up your eyes and feeling into the space all around you. There's no rush.
Mm. Wow, thank you. I it's hard to have words yet.
I get that.
But compassion and acceptance come forward for
Mm.
me, and I feel like that was such a needed and loving message to us empaths to
Yeah,
embrace who we are.
so much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's all the words I have for that.
I understand. I'm also very much in this altered state, and it's hard to talk after, but
Yeah,
I really could feel you can feel the energetic quality of the collective you're working with when I've experienced doing these collective readings, and I can tell, like, oh, there's so much energy here. And I
mm,
can feel like the more open and receptive the collective is, the more there is space for energy to flow through. I could feel that it was very intense at points. And I think that was for a reason and a purpose that we can all feel how powerful that can be.
yes, yes. What a gift. Thank you for sharing that with us, with everybody. And I'm curious for those of you watching, how was that for you? Put if you want to put it in the comments below the video, because yeah, I think that's I have no words. It was powerful.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
Yes.
so
I
I'd
would love
like
to
to know
hear.
how, yeah, I'd like to know how it was for everybody watching. And thank you again.
Yeah, thank you for everyone's shared energy because it all adds up to the message that comes through, the energy that pours in for us all. And some of us may have had a very unique experience of our own. So if you feel called to be witness through that in the comments, would love to hear.
That's a beautiful way of saying it. Yes, thank you. Yes, wow. Well, I think this is a great place to close in this beautiful, yummy, spacious,
Mhm.
expansive space that we're in. And I do want to say you did mention you have a free gift um, earlier, I think related to human design. Do you want to tell them what you have for them?
Yes. So yes, I have a link where you will be able to pull up this magical treasure map of a human design chart. If you have your birth date and time, as close to the accurate time as you can possibly find would be amazing. That's all you really need. And place of birth. If you fill up the form in there, it'll generate your chart. There's a lot of descriptors below, so it won't just look like this graphic with no description or explanation. There's a lot of explanation below. And right at the end, if you scroll down all the way, there'll be a mini report of all of those energy centers I described. And if it's open or if it's colored in, what does that really mean for you? And how can you work with its energy as another baby step for you to get to know yourself more deeply?
Fabulous, fabulous. Make sure you grab that, your map of self-acceptance, your treasure map. to your soul. I love that. And where else can people find you around the interweb?
Yeah. Well, as a manifesting generator, there are lots of different places. Like to play with a lot of energy, as I'm sure Ruby you can feel into as well from your experience. Personally, I'm best place to start with is my website. So that's Nikki Joshi, NIKHIJOSHI.com. I'm on Instagram at nikki.joshi. I'm on TikTok as the Akashic Priestess, a fairly new space that I'm playing in. There's a lot more channel messages there because that's where I have fun with this. I'm on YouTube at Nikki Joshi, no dot in between, where I do much more longer channeled messages too, but those come occasionally when I feel the call to share that way. And of course, I do have a podcast on Apple and Spotify called Unlock Your Soul Magic with Nikki Joshi, where I share a lot more about the practical reality of living what I felt has been almost like a double life of this logical, analytical self that I'm slowly moving some parts of me away from and reclaiming my intuitive empath sides as a soul healer and learning to integrate it all. So that's a lot more of behind the scenes, day to day, with how I practically apply a lot of the tools that I use in my practice here.
Love it. I will make sure all of those are linked below the video so you can easily find it. And Nikki, it's been such a joy. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, and I hope you all enjoyed it. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you all for tuning in.